Hello and welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here today because this is the first class of our SOF IMO Grade 7 Olympiad series. Well, whether you're from CBSE, icse or any other board, this series is perfect for mastering Olympiad level maths, starting with our first topic, integers. Well, in today's session, we'll be covering the complete basics of integers step by step in a way that's easy to understand and perfect for your Olympiad preparation as well as your board preparation. Well, by the end of this class, you'll be confidently and you will be confident on what are integers, difference between positive and the negative integers, how to place integers on number line, and how to add and subtract integers using number lines and without them. So let me start with it. So obviously I'm starting with the basic definition of the integers. So integers are basically the set of whole numbers, a complete numbers, and that includes the positive numbers, negative numbers and 0. So that means if I say 2 by 3, 4 by 6, like this, 2 by 3, or if I say 4 by 6, 4 by 5 or 1.3, so these are fractional numbers or the decimal numbers. They are not the integers. That's very important to understand. So like the complete numbers 1, 2, 3, 500, 200 without decimal, without fractions, that are called integer numbers. And integer numbers are further divided into positive, negative and 0. So positive integers are basically where you will see plus sign or no sign, to be honest, and these numbers are always greater than 0. That means 1, 2, 7, 8, the numbers that you have been studying so far, these all are positive numbers. For negative numbers like these ones, they have the negative sign before them, like -2 and -3, and these numbers are always smaller than 0 and hence they are called negative numbers. And for 0, it's very important to know about the 0, that 0 is an integer, but it's neither positive nor negative. It's important because generally we see no sign before 0, so we assume that there is no negative sign, so it's going to be positive. And suppose in true false they asked you 0 is the smallest positive integer, so generally students says true, which is not. So 0 is neither positive nor a negative integer, and that's why it's categorized as the third type of integer, which is 0. And what is 0? 0 is nothing, and that's the way of representation of it. So these are the types of integers. Now the number line. Number line is very important. A number line is basically a straight horizontal line, which you can clearly see. I have drawn it here. This is a horizontal line which has a 0 at its center, like this one, and the two arrows are there that are stretching infinitely, like this and this. That means the number keeps on going and going to 100,000 crores and so on. Then on right hand side of the 0, because 0 is the center, so on right hand side of the 0, which is this one, we all represent positive numbers, whereas on the left side we represents the negative numbers. So left side is all about negative numbers and right side is all about positive numbers. If you move towards the right hand side, the number always increases, whereas if you move towards left hand side, number always decreases. And that's why if I'm comparing two numbers, so obviously it will help me with the number line, that the number which is on the left side is always smaller than the number which is on right hand side. Say for example, I take -1 and -4. See, this is most common misconception, or I can say the student, they do this kind of mistake because 1, 2, 3, 4, and if I ask you out of between 1 and 4 which is greater, your obvious answer would be 4, and which is correct. But if I'm asking you -1 and -4, so -4 is greater is not the correct thing. As I told you, if you move towards left, the number keeps on decreasing. From here, if I started to move on left hand side, that means 2, 1, 0, what you can see, the numbers are decreasing. That means -1, -2, -4. So from -1 to -4, the number are decreasing, which means that the number 4 is smaller than -1. And also I told you the other way to understand which one is smaller, which one is greater. It's simple. You have to see which one is on left hand side. So if I'm comparing -1 and -4, -4 is on the left side of -1. That makes it smaller than -1, hence -4 is smaller. So this is how you can understand the number line. Now let me represent the numbers. So question 1 says represent 2 on number line. This question, it says represent number 2 on number line. So what I need to do, I just need to encircle it. That's it. Part B says represent -3 on number line. Again, I have to do the same thing. I need to encircle -3. So that will give me -3. Now the term successor and predecessor. So successor you have studied, like maybe in the history chapters you have studied that like this king is the successor of that king. So that means if I'm saying successor, so that successor is actually the son of that king. So taking example of you can say Akbar. So Akbar is son of Humayun, and we can say he was a successor of Humayun. So he comes after. So the number that comes after is called successor, whereas the number which comes just before is called predecessor. And to get successor and predecessor, you just need to add 1 and subtract 1. That means, as I told you, successor is the one that comes after, which means I need to add 1, and predecessor is a number that is the number just immediately before a number, and hence we have to subtract 1. So successor, say for example, I want to know what's the successor of 2. So the number which comes after 2 is 3. We have to 2 plus 1. So 2 plus 1 will give me 3. So that means the successor of 2 is 3. Whereas the predecessor is a number just before the 2. That means 2 minus 1 will give me 1. That means the predecessor of 2 is 1. So you have to, generally students get confused like when to add plus 1, when to subtract 1. So successor is about the after one, so add 1. Predecessor is the previous one, so subtract 1. The next is about the comparison of two numbers. As I told you, the number which is on left side of the number line is always smaller than the one which is on right hand side. And we know to show the inequality when we are comparing two quantities, we always use these two signs. Well, these are also, but generally we use this in algebra. And here for comparison, I have to use either of these. The one which has this peak, you can say, shows the smaller number, whereas the open mouth side represents the bigger number. For the first one, 2 and 10, obviously the 10 is the bigger one, so open side will be on 10. Minus 10 and minus 40, as I told you, in negative sign it works opposite. So if it's positive, it would be positive. I would be saying that 40 is the bigger one, but since this is negative, so 10 is the bigger one. And also when you represent this on number line, obviously this is 0, this is negative 10, and like after some time we'll get negative 40. Negative 40 is on the left hand side of the negative 10, and hence this one is a smaller one, so my sign would be this. 0 and minus 10, so obviously 0 is on right hand side and minus 10 is on the left hand side, so it would be like this. And 100 and 1000, it's very obvious that 100 is the smaller one. Now operations on integers, that means operations on addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So we are doing addition and subtraction here, and division, multiplication will be doing in our next video. So here, if you're adding two numbers, it's given as in A, add negative 4 and 5. The first one we are doing using the number line. You can pick any number. Either you can pick negative 4 or you can pick 5. Anyone you can pick in case of addition and encircle that number. So let me say I'm picking -4. So this is -4 and I have encircled -4. And then it says 5. It's positive 5, and we know whenever there is a positive number, we have to move towards right hand side. I am adding a positive number. That means I want to increase it. So obviously I need to move towards right hand side, and also apart from that, positive number is always on the right hand side, whereas negative numbers are on left hand side. That means if we are adding 5, so we have to move 5 units towards the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this will give me 1 as the answer. Moving on to the question number B, part B. Add -1 and -2. Again, I'm saying you can pick any number, you can encircle any number. So let me encircle the second number. In the previous question, we have encircled the first number. So in this case, let me encircle the second number, which is -2. So I have encircled it, and now I have to add -1 to it. -1 is a negative number. That means we have to move 1 unit towards the left. The negative sign is saying that move towards left hand side. So 1 unit towards left hand side, and I'll reach towards here, and my final answer will be -3. Now addition without using number line. So I'm adding, but I'm not using any number line. So that means this is actually because a number line has its own limitation. We can't add or subtract -149 and 1235. That would be difficult. And say for example, apart from the integers, if we have the decimal or the fractional numbers, in that case too, the number line has its own limitations. We can't use it, and that's why I'm teaching you how to add without using the number line. So let's say the numbers are, I'm taking 3 examples. 221 plus 441. B is 221 minus 441. Okay, let me take 4 examples. Minus 221 plus 441, and D is minus 221 minus 441. Keep that in mind, that if you are adding two numbers that are of same sign, we always have to add them. If both numbers are positive, if both numbers are negative, we always have to add them. So 221 plus 441, that means we will do same conventional. 221 plus 441, which is 266. So that will give me 662. That's easy, you know that. Part D, both the numbers are here negative. So writing minus 221 minus 441, or I can use to write minus 221 plus negative 441. They mean the same, and this in detail I'll explain you when we'll be doing multiplication and division. But as of now, keep that in mind, that minus 221 and minus 441 can be written as minus 221 plus negative 441. Why? Because when I'll open this bracket, plus times negative will become negative. So minus 221 minus 441 will get the same thing. And again, I'm saying I'll explain this more clearly when we'll be doing multiplication and division of integers. So minus 221 plus minus 441, which is suggesting that I am adding two numbers, both are negative numbers. So still I'll be adding them together, which will give me 662. But because here both the numbers are negative, so I'm using negative. So if both numbers are positive, you have to add. If both numbers are negative, you have to add. But the sign will be the sign of the numbers. In positive case, answer will be positive. In negative case, answer will be negative. For B and C, one is positive, one is negative. That means I can subtract them. So it doesn't matter which one, the bigger number or the smaller number, is negative. If one is negative, we have to subtract them. So 221, again I can say 221 minus 441 can be written as 221 plus minus 441. So I'm adding two numbers, one is positive, one is negative. I need to subtract. Subtract how? Just like we subtract any number, same. 441 minus 221, 0, 2, 2, 220. That means answer will be 220. But the answer will have the sign of the bigger number. Out of 221 and 441, 441 is the bigger one. See, if you will compare 221 and negative 441 on their own, definitely negative 441 as a whole is a smaller number. But I'm saying the sign, like only the absolute value, only the number itself, 221 and 441. Out of these number, which one is bigger? It's 441 obviously. So the sign of that number we will be choosing. So that will be negative 220. Same, we are adding one positive, one negative number, subtract it. On subtracting we'll get 220 and the bigger number is 441. So we'll be using the sign of it. Answer is 220, positive. Now subtraction is same, there is a little difference, only the little difference, else every concept that we have studied will remain exactly the same. So subtraction of integers, first we will be studying through number lines and second will be without the number lines. So it says subtract minus 2 from negative 3. See, in case of the addition, we were having the freedom of choosing any number, the first number, the second number, doesn't matter, we can do so. But in case of subtraction, we don't have that freedom. We have to be very precise on choosing the number, and obviously we have to encircle that number which comes after from which you are subtracting. So in part A, it says subtract negative 2 from negative 3. That means from negative 3, we are subtracting negative 2 from negative 3. So that negative 3 we have to encircle. After encircling negative 3, we have to subtract negative 2. Negative 2, that means what? In subtraction, it works opposite. Remember that. Working opposite, that means in case of addition, after encircling, we were working according to the number. That means if it's written negative 2, so we have to move 2 units towards the left. If it's positive 2, we have to move 2 units towards the right. But this is the case where we have to move opposite. So now we have to move negative 2. So that means negative 2 will become positive 2 and we have to move towards right. So 2 units towards right and we'll get negative 1 is the answer. Because we are subtracting it, and subtraction is always the opposite of 7 minus 4, it will reduce the value. That it will happen. But if you are subtracting a negative number, it will add on it. So if it's not very clear when we'll be doing subtraction without using the number line, you can understand there how to do it properly. Subtract 7 from 2. So from, that is 2, I have to encircle. And I need to subtract 7 from it. See, in this case, we are subtracting 7. That means 7 will become negative in this case. So 7, if in case of addition, we will be adding 7 and we have to move towards right. But now, because we are subtracting it, we are reducing, we are taking it out. That's why it will become negative and we have to move 7 units towards the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it will be minus 5. So answer is minus 5. See, let me see the subtraction without using the number line. So first understand the way of writing and then it's exactly like the addition thing. So subtract 281 from 192. So always we have to write 192. I mean the number after the from. At first we have to write that down and subtract 281. And if you have seen like when we were doing addition, and I would suggest you master the addition part first and then comes to negative, then comes the subtraction, so it will help you in understanding it very quickly. So I told you this can be written as 192 plus negative 281. See, it doesn't matter what we are writing, it's ultimately 192 from 192 you are moving 281 towards the left, or you can say that we are subtracting. So in short, like, don't if you're getting confused using number line, this is the best way. The subtraction thing, you can write it like this: 192 minus 281 can be written as 192 plus minus 281, which I have explained up there when I was explaining the addition. And two numbers are of different sign when we are adding, that means we need to subtract them. So it will become 89. But the sign will be of the bigger number. So 281 is bigger, so answer is minus 89. For the part B, same, the number which is written from that part, I have to write it that first, minus 565, and subtract minus 281. So this one is, and that I was saying, like when you open the bracket, that signs get multiplied. So when I'll expand this bracket, open this bracket, minus will become positive. So minus will become positive, and it will become minus 565 plus 281. Now what we are doing, we are just adding two numbers having different signs. So I have to subtract 281 from 565. So 565 minus 281 is 284. And bigger one is 565, so I'll use this sign. Similarly, we have to subtract 600 from minus 1125. That means minus 1125 and subtract 600. This can be this type of question we just did in case of positive when we are adding. So I can write it as minus 1125 plus negative 600, just like how I have written it here. Similarly, I can write it here. We are adding two numbers having the same sign, so which means I can add them up. So answer will be 1725, and sign will be of negative because both numbers are negative. So this was about the basic definition of integers, types of integers, predecessor, successor, and number line representation, and how to do addition and subtraction with or without using the number line. If you have any doubt, you can just comment us. Obviously I'll make a video on it. Obviously I'll consider that one, and if I can give answer in the chat section, I'll do that, and if I think that a video is required, I'll do that as well. So always do that comment. It's just free of cost. You don't have to do anything. Just see the video and comment down there. And in the next class, I'll be continuing with the other parts, and also we'll be doing some questions on it, some subjective, some objective, and Olympiad related questions. So these theory, like this whole that we are doing, obviously will help you in your main exams like CBSE, ICSE, whatever you're doing, along with the SOF IMO. So that's it for today, everyone. Bye. Take care.